This is the first in a series of mini videos where I'm going to show you one of my favorite things to do. We're going to create wire armatures that we're going to sew our fabric pieces onto. And these are smaller ones that I create for like some outrageous jewelry and use them as beads on necklaces and things. And I call these pods. And I love them because they're so organic and we get to use all our little samples, because with all of these tutorials that we're doing, we are collecting quite a pile of samples, and this is one great way to use them. In this particular one, I have some silk that I dipped in wax, and on the other panels, these are remnants of an echo dyed piece of silk that I had that I really wasn't enamored by the pattern that it gave me as its own piece, so I cut it up and I used it here, and it really has, just what I wanted, this sort of silky, rich, mottled, organic feeling. And the same here, that's what these are. So in this series of videos, I'm going to talk to you about materials that I use and the steps that I go through. I'm also going to give you examples of larger sculptures I've created using this technique. Huge scorpions, for instance, and big headwear sculptures and all that. So you'll see the possibilities, and you'll, of course, bring it to your own magnificent places. And I have an image of the materials, but just to give a quick overview, I usually start out with 18 gauge wire. This is wire that I find either at the hardware store or at an art supply store. This is dark annealed wire, but it can be, the stainless steel, because you're going to be covering it and not seeing it. And I like this level of stiffness to this particular one, 18 gauge, because it's good for medium size. It gives me the tension I need for medium size sculptures. And if I'm doing larger sculptures where I need to have a greater amount of tensile strength in order to support the larger arms of the whatever the form is that you may be doing, then you could either double this, or you can get a stiffer wire, which would, the smaller the number, the thicker the wire. So instead of 18, you could go for 16 or maybe even 14. And the large scorpion I'm going to be showing you, I used 9 gauge wire and I doubled it up because it's 24 feet by 7 feet by something else. And it's very large, and it's supporting mosaics of dyed doilies, which, are somewhat heavy, and so it needed to have that kind of strength. And I also sometimes use wire that's covered. This is from the garden center, and it's paper covered wire, and they have different gauges. Again, this is very soft, and I very rarely use this on large scale sculptures. This is the wire I tend to use when making jewelry. But here's another one. Whoa, look at this mess I made. That is heavier weight and covered with green paper. And also what you're going to need is some floral tape. This is that tape you can get in the garden section of Michael's or a craft store or at a florist shop. And in the next video, you'll see why this comes in really handy. So I look forward to showing you more.